Hey everybody, Sean Holsinger here from holsingersflyshop.com. Bringing you another video today, another nymph video, and this is another one from my Kettle Creek trip. I shared with you last time the Ray Charles, which is a great fish catching fly up there. This is one that just happened to be working real well for us on our trip this week. Actually, the last weekend. And reason being, the March Browns are just about to come off up there. And this ended up being a great March Brown nymph imitation, so we'll call it the March Brown two-tone. Named after the two-tone nymph that I've already tied in my video. I'm just showing you a Keller pattern that happened to work real well for me during the March Brown hatch here. So give it a try on your stream when the March Browns are about to come off. Let's get into tying it. For the hook, I'm using a Firehole 516 in a size 12. Okay, I used a 12 and a 14, and both of them work. This is a larger mayfly. So the 12 in the fire holes is actually probably maybe a 14 in some other hooks. I really like the size of the 12 for this, is what I'm trying to say. Don't be afraid to go big on it. Use a 12 or a 14. The hook is, like I said, a size 12, 516 fire hole. The bead is one of the beads we carry from Nature Spirit. This is a 3.3 millimeter bead. Okay, so we'll put the new one in the vise here, and we'll get into tying. What we're going to start out with is I'm going to start out with a little bit of lead because, like I always tell you, I like to get my flies down. So I'm going to go light on the lead, but I'm using .010. And I'm not putting a whole lot of wraps, just a little bit to build up a little taper here for me. Go heavy on it. If you know you're fishing an area with deep water, go heavy on it so it goes down quicker. But the thread we're using is 140 denier fluorescent orange. And we're just going to wrap that down, wrap the lead and cover it up, and build a nice taper, like I said. And we'll trim off our thread. The next thing we'll do is we'll build a tail. For the tail, I'm using some Cocktail Leon. This is medium Pardo. Like I said, I don't get real particular on what color Pardo. I just like the mottled look of the Pardo. And a lot of times there's not a huge difference. So, if you don't have medium, don't worry about it. But we're going to take a fair amount of fiber, not a fair amount, maybe like 6 or 7 or so. 6 or 8 fibers. We're going to hold it down on top, and we want it about the length of the shank minus the bead there. And I'm just going to tie that down on top. And then I'm going to wrap it back to the back. Now, if you wrap it a little too far, which I didn't that time, but I'm going to show you anyway. If you wrap it a little bit too far and the tail starts to bend with the curl of the hook, all you need to do is take and wrap underneath it. Wrap underneath that tail once or twice, and it'll put it right back up to place, and it'll go straight, just like you want it to, hanging off the tail there. Now I'm not doing a very good job on this, I'll admit. I'm trying to limit my wraps here, but also in the same time cover up all that lead. Because I don't want this to get built up too big. Next thing we're going to use is some brassy hot orange wire. And I'm just going to pull a chunk off of here. And this is going to be the rib on our fly. And like I said, I don't know. This was during the March Brown. My dad tore it up on this fly. He caught 30 some one day, pretty much all on this fly, actually. And did real well. What I do is I'm going to leave a little bit. You can see, as I hold this up here, you can see there's just a little bit of a hot spot right, just about 2 wraps wide, 3 wraps wide tops, right behind where my lead comes into there. So there's going to be a little bit of a hot spot on the tail and the head. And then the next thing we're going to do is put on the dubbing. For dubbing, I'm hitting up my SLF squirrel dub box again. The color I'm using is bleached ginger. I've been using a good bit of it here lately, so I'm getting a little low. I'm going to have to replace that color. And we don't want a whole lot for this fly. It doesn't take a lot. It's actually kind of close to a camel color. And but it's a nice lighter color. So we're just going to dub this on here. Do not go real heavy on your dub. Like I said, that's always the biggest mistake for beginners. So don't fall into that trap and making it too thick. And then we're going to wrap this up. And I'm going to wrap side by side, not overlapping so I don't get too much into this. I just want to cover it all up so that orange doesn't show through. The orange thread will show through a little bit, and that's actually great, but don't worry about it. The thing I like about this is you can see the bugginess in this. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to wrap our wire up. We're going to get about 4 or 5 wraps here. I like to wrap it kind of close, but not too close. And just tie it off right there behind the bead. Last thing is we're going to add a little bit of SLF prism, and the color I'm using is brown olive. Peacock is another one that works well for this. This is very similar to a peacock colored ice dub. If you don't have the SLF and you have ice dub, peacock is really close. And this, again, go thin on it. You can see I'm not using very much at all. You can see how thin how little of it I have. And I'm just gonna, I like to just wet my fingers and spin it on with wet fingers. I don't always use wax. A lot of times I just use wet fingers. So there we go. We're just going to make a couple wraps. I don't want to make the collar too thick. I don't want, for sure, do not want the collar bigger than the bead. And then we're just going to wrap it off right there behind behind the bead. And I'm just going to make 1 or 2 wraps, and then I'm going to do my whip finish, which is, 3 to 5 wraps on there. And that way I don't get too big of a collar. I get a noticeable hot spot collar, but not overpowering, just like that. So that is all that's to this fish catching fly for us this weekend. We hammered them on this fly, and we caught a bunch of trout. We'll just put it that way. And this was what a lot of them was on. So give this a try. Don't, like I always tell you, mix up your colors. Have different color combinations. I tie this in a dark color for later at night. If there's muddy water, I'm fishing a dark one. If I get closer to evening and it starts to get a little bit dark, I switch to a darker colored one. So when you want the dark to shine, to show better with the silhouette and stuff, I go with a darker color. I tie this in a bunch of different colors. I never really imagined that this would work for the March Browns. That wasn't the intent of tying it. I was just tying it to have another color in my box, and it just happened to be a killer pattern when it came to the March Browns. So give it a try. Try different color combinations, and have fun. That's what fly tying is all about. Thanks for watching, everybody. All the materials you need to tie it, you can find at the shop at holsingersflyshop.com. And check us out on Facebook and Instagram. And please take the time to subscribe. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'm Sean Holsinger.